As much as I love being outside on the ground in Japan with the camera and showing you guys what it's like to live life here, 99% of my life here in Japan, I don't have the camera on. So things will obviously happen all the time that I don't get to film. But the good thing is I can always tell you stories of really cool things that happen in Japan, and I just want to share it with people. I just want to get it out there. I haven't really done one of these, like a kind of a story time in Japan kind of thing, because it's just so fun to film things and experience things with you guys at the same time. But other times it's really cool to like reflect back on things that have happened in my life here in Japan and tell stories about them later. There are 2 times specifically that I remember where a Japanese person went out of their way to either help me or make me feel welcome in their group. There are people out there that generalize what Japanese citizens think of foreigners living in Japan. The thing is about living in Japan is that everyone's gonna have a different experience. I'm sure there are people who have had bad experiences living here, and I'd never invalidate that. My experience here has been super wonderful. Of course, like everything in life, there's ups and downs, but for the most part, I have felt very welcome and I've met some really nice people here. So I want to tell you 2 specific stories that have to do with the hospitality that I've received from Japanese people. Obviously, these are stories that I never got on camera because it's not like I'm walking around Japan with a camera trying to find people who are nice to put on camera. Sometimes these things just happen, which thank God they do. The first story is super early on in my life living in Japan, the first year that I was here. My friend Allison, who is in my video of Matsushima, the Samurai Festival in Matsushima, that's a very fun video. Check it out if you haven't yet. That is like super early stuff from my first year living in Japan. But she was actually coming into Japan and I was going to meet her at Narita Airport. And at the time I was living in Sendai, so I came all the way down from Sendai so that I could meet her at Narita Airport. You would think that getting to the airport, the international airport of all places, would be something very simple, very easy. There's tons of signs everywhere that say like, hey, this train takes you to Narita Airport. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they'll take what's called the next train. The next train basically goes from Tokyo Station, I believe, and I want to say Shinjuku Station as well. Will take you straight to the airport. Like, it is the airport liner for Narita Airport. However, it's kind of expensive. Like, I've only ridden it once or twice. It's like 3,000 yen one way from like the middle of Tokyo. So around $30 US, maybe 25 to 30 US, which I guess doesn't sound that bad, but you can take the local trains for like 10 bucks, depending on where you are in Tokyo, like 10 to 15 bucks, 1,000 to 1,500 yen. So when you're saving like double, I don't mind wasting a bit of time or using more time to get to Narita Airport. If it's gonna save me 15 bucks, that is I'm cheap, let me tell you, it's the cheap part of me when it comes to traveling. So of course, I'm getting ready to get to Narita Airport from Tokyo, and I had come from Narita Airport a few times. By the way, if you don't know, Narita Airport is like not even in the same prefecture as like Tokyo, like metropolitan Tokyo. So it's a bit of a ways out from like the Tokyo area, honestly. So on this day, because I was just going to go to the airport, pick up my friend, and we were gonna immediately go back into Tokyo. On that day, I decided that I'm going to try a local train to Narita Airport instead of the next liner, instead of the really nice, really fast train that takes you straight there and you don't have to have any worries in the world. I was gonna take like all the local trains, which involved like a transfer, maybe 2 from where I was, but at least 1 transfer. So I get on a train that says like to Narita, that I swear, said to Narita Airport. Let me tell you, there's so many signs that will point you to Narita Airport, and it gets so confusing. I swear, they make it so that you have to take the more expensive train to get to Narita Airport so that you don't have to do this. I ended up on the wrong train, which is honestly not something that I've done too much in Japan, but it was my first year there. I was still getting used to trains. I was easily overwhelmed. Meanwhile, my friend Allison's probably sitting at the airport, and I'm just telling her, oh man, there's just so many people here today. I'm like texting her on my phone. Last thing I want my friend to think is that I'm lost in Japan when I'm picking her up from the airport, and I gotta get her from Tokyo to Sendai without getting lost. So I'm trying not to worry my friend, like, oh yeah, I'm like lost on my way to the airport, but no worries, just let me be your guide, follow me, I know exactly where I'm going, we can get to the hotel, no problem. So while I'm on the train, I absolutely have no idea where I'm going. I'm just texting her like, yep, I'm sorry, I'm maybe a little late, there's a lot of people. And then I do what I normally hate doing. I ask someone on the train, and I turn to a lady sitting next to me, an older lady. I'm like, in the best Japanese that I can. 1 year in. すいません。成田空港どこですか? And you know what? My Japanese was probably so bad and it's still probably really bad. She stands up from her seat and kind of like does the whole kochi kochi, which is like, come here, come here. We get off the train together. Like, she gets off the train for me. I felt so bad that like she got off the train with me because obviously like this wasn't her stop. She didn't have to get off the train with me here. She gets off the train with me in like the busiest city in the world where I feel like a million people are trying to get home or to work or wherever they need to be. She goes over to the map and she's trying to point out like she wasn't speaking English. Hell, if I was speaking Japanese. And she showed me the map of like which line I actually need to be on. It's like the woman had done this before. I'm sure if she lives on the east side of Tokyo, like in Chiba, this probably happens a lot. By the time I see the map, I kind of understand what line I'm supposed to get on now and which direction I'm supposed to go, but she insists, like she takes me over to a bench, we both sit down, she asks me where I'm from, we do a little bit of talking, and she sits there and she waits for the right train to come by, which took like 10 minutes, which in Tokyo train time, that's a long time. That's a long time to wait for Tokyo trains. And while I'm sitting there on the bench, she's patting my leg like, daijoubu desu. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's gonna be okay. Like, I'm not really freaking out, but this lady, maybe I was freaking out. This lady acted like I was freaking out. I don't know, maybe she thought I was like a lone tourist, like a lone female traveler, and I had no idea where I was going, and maybe I was trying to get to the airport so that I could get home. She just felt like a little grandmother, like, oh, daijoubu. It was just really nice of her to get off the train with me and wait for the next train to come 10 minutes later and us just wait on the platform and talk, and like, I just don't imagine that happening in other places with trains, like New York City or DC or something. Like, I feel like people would just be like, oh, yep, go. It's this one, get off here, bye, and then try to find your transfer. Which is honestly like a fair thing to do. People are busy, but she just really wanted to make sure that I could get to where I'm going. And maybe it's like not a big deal. Like, oh, someone got off the train for you and you know, used 10 minutes of their time to help you out. People do that anywhere, but it's something that I never experienced before and I didn't really expect to experience in the biggest city in the world. Needless to say, I did make it to the airport and I met up with my friend. I was like, oh, sorry, my bus was late, the trains were late, there were a lot of people. Did not know I let her, did not let her know that I was actually lost. Until like a year later, and then I finally told her that I was actually lost. Anyway, thank you, old Japanese lady. The second story happened about a year and a half later, I think. I had tickets for a Japanese band that I love called NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo, you might know, does music from Food Wars, No No Biyori, just a ton of really awesome anime. And their music is so good, and I'm just a really big fan of the main singer, of the sound. So when I found out that they were going to have a concert in Sendai, in the city that I used to live in, I had to go. I got tickets and I get ready to go. It was actually my second concert ever in Japan, but it was like my first concert that was kind of a smaller venue. I had been to Summer Sonic months before, but Summer Sonic has a lot of Western bands, a lot of Westerners are there. Very Western rules. As far as rules for concerts go. Rules for concerts in Japan are very different. I actually did a video on this, so if you're interested in like knowing what some of those might be, I will put that video in the description. So I was really nervous to kind of go to this concert by myself and meet new people with my low level of Japanese, especially at the time. So I show up and I had kind of looked up some of the rules, like Japanese rules that are common with concerts here. So I got there and I lined up according to my ticket, and there was a gentleman next to me, an older gentleman. He asked me where I was from, and I think I was the only foreigner there as far as I know. But he asked me where I'm from and like why I'm in Japan and stuff like that, and it seemed like such a really nice guy. And so come to find out, this dude is like a famous NaNoWriMo fan. Like, he's been to their concert like 100 times or something like that, and he was from, I think, definitely not Tohoku, like definitely southern area of Japan, like Kanto region. So he had traveled all the way to Tohoku just to follow NaNoWriMo's tour, right? Well, everyone at the concert knew this guy. So we walk in and I have my bag with me, and you can rent lockers at the venue to put your stuff in so that you don't have to like carry your bags during the concert or anything. And he offered to pay for a locker for my stuff. And I said, you really don't have to do that. Like, I have cash. He was like, no, like, I insist. Like, it was just very, like, he wanted me to feel at home, and he wanted me to feel welcomed into the NaNoWriMo fan base. And so, yeah, he paid for my my locker to put my stuff in. And so the concert starts, and we have a really good time. And after the concert, because he was part of the NaNoWriMo fan club, he got an exclusive signed print from the band. After the concert lets out, we walk out, and I'm not part of the fan club, so I didn't have a signed print, and he gives me his signed print. Now, I'm sure he gets a signed print at every show he goes to, because he, like, travels all over Japan going to see these shows, and he gets one for every show he goes to. But it was just really nice. Like, he gave me his exclusive, like, it costs money to be in the fan club, his exclusive signed print of the band. Like, could you imagine going to see a band, and then someone, first of all, offering to pay for a place for you to put your bags, even though, you know, you definitely have the money to do that. Like, they insist that they pay for it. And then at the end of the concert, they give you, like, I don't know, a signed print or exclusive merch that you can't get, but they have. And, like, he only had one of them, but he gave it to me. And I'm like, what? You don't have to do this. I didn't expect, maybe I'm weird. Maybe I just don't expect people to be nice to me. I don't know. But I just really was surprised, and I didn't expect to just go to this concert and make such many friends. I made so many friends at this concert that I've added on social media, and like, I'd love to meet up again once concerts start going back. But this guy, he was just so nice, and he really didn't have to do any of that. Maybe in America, I've just had bad concert experiences where I've met a lot of rude people at concerts, but this felt so special to me. I was so nervous going to the concert in the first place, and I left the concert with so many friends and a gift and a free place to put my luggage, and it was just so welcoming. And even though there was a lot of language barriers, it didn't feel like the language barrier affected anything. I made such really good friends at this show, and really it was all because of that gentleman and just the warm welcome that the NaNoWriMo fan base gave me. Anyway, guys, those are the two stories that I want to tell you today. You know, maybe they might seem pretty normal, but to me, who's not, I don't know, maybe I just don't normally expect people to be so kind and nice like that. And that's when it's really cool, is when you don't expect it and someone is like so kind and nice to you. I love to see that. Guys, if you enjoy stories like this, I'm chock full of them. I've got more stories. I've got a lot of stories from when I worked in the school. So let me know if you do like videos like this. Don't forget to comment, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!